Film, follows him as he is living the life of somebody on Wall Street. I'm not 100% sure what he does. I know that his card says he's a vice president of something, and they've mentioned in the movie that his dad owns the company in some way, shape, or form. So, all I know is, all I could tell is that he is a yuppie piece of shit. That's how I would describe him. Hello, and welcome to Blockbuster Review. If you don't know what that is, it is where I play a single game of Tetris Marathon, 150 lines, and try to review a film before finishing the 150 lines, or getting the lines to go all the way to the top. Spoilers start at line 50. I don't think it'll matter much for this one. So American Psycho is a movie that a lot of people have seen, because it seems that people are still talking about it today, and it makes sense. It's themes of greed, consumerism, not consumerism. What's the word? I know greed for sure. There's a lot of greed. There's just greed all over the thing. I guess capitalism, competition for what I don't know what I'm already falling apart in this review. I've lost all of the language that I needed to complete it. And I'm sure you already know it. It concerns this character, Patrick Bateman, who is a self-described psycho, lunatic. He admires the works of Ted Bundy. He talks about Ed Gein in polite conversation. And all of his friends just laugh it off. Because it's pretty clear that all of his friends are just the same person, which is people that aren't listening to anyone and only care about themselves and their own egos and their own desires and their own greeds. And the film, follows him as he is living the life of somebody on Wall Street. I'm not 100% sure what he does. I know that his card says he's a vice president of something, and they've mentioned in the movie that his dad owns the company in some way, shape, or form. So, all I know is, all I could tell is that he is a yuppie piece of shit. That's how I would describe him, in the way that I judge certain people in their career choices and style choices. Anyway, what are we doing here? The point is, American Psycho, Patrick Bateman spends the movie slowly getting more and more intense with his bloodlust, which he calls bloodlust himself. He kills more and more often, as his life is coming apart, but not really, because there are no consequences to his actions. I don't want to spoil exactly, but at one point he goes, one would say a little too far by hurting a dude that he works with. He has this weird alibi because the guy thinks that he's actually another person that works in the office, so he puts in his date book, and they all have date books and appointments at these swanky restaurants. The amount of times they mention swanky foods kind of got ridiculous, and I never noticed it the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it with my homies, because I watched it with some homies, I was like, man, they talk about food a fucking lot in this movie. And food, because I have a gutter palate and, I didn't grow up super rich, I don't know, I don't even know what half of it fucking is. It honestly sounded really disgusting, half the shit they were saying, but, gutter palate for life. I'll see you at Arby's or Jack in the Box. But the point I'm making is, he lives this highfalutin, high-class lifestyle while also murdering hookers. Hookers are on the bill, homeless, and then eventually his co-worker in some pretty fantastic scenes, and Patrick Bateman is played by the incomparable Christian Bale, who was one of the Batmans, and he did a great job. He's also doing a killer fucking job in this, playing, like, this amazingly emotionless psychopath that who is describing through the entire process how he doesn't care and has no emotion and doesn't care about anything, and you believe it just from his voice and the way he presents himself and deals with all of his quote-unquote friends that are mostly just jabbering puppets that just speak when they're all speaking together, but you can tell don't give a fuck about each other, and it's a really sad thing. And then you remember, oh yeah, he's randomly murdering completely innocent people, sex workers and homeless, and he kills two, or he's about to kill a cat. He kills a dog, which is like red flag number one. Fuck this guy forever. Don't care if you're the protagonist in a movie or not. You're the worst. Pretty hard to make him sympathetic after that. And the big turn in the movie is after he kills a bunch of people seemingly at random. He calls his lawyer and he says, "I did it, man. I killed Paul Allen, who is Jared Leto, the guy that he killed, that he works with. I killed a bunch of hookers. He's like, I lost count. It could be 20, it could be 40, but I did it, and you're my lawyer, and I wanted to tell you." And then the next morning he gets up, and there's no consequences. Nobody's coming to get him. He goes to Paul Allen's apartment, which he used as kind of like a hub for his murderous activities, and all the bodies are gone. He just had bodies strewn about the place, and he was wondering what's up, and then he has a meeting with the lawyer that he called, and the lawyer makes kind of a comment like, "It's impossible, Paul Allen, I just had lunch with him." And when the movie ended, this is what I really wanted to talk about, because let's be honest, people reviewing American Psycho, it's been reviewed 1,000 times. Its quality has been mentioned and agreed upon by tons of people. But when the movie was over, my friends started a conversation about the movie, and they kind of came to this consensus that, oh yeah, none of that actually happened. All the murderers that we see, all the torment, the fucked up shit he did is actually stuff he had in his head, and he was drawing in his day planner, but he didn't actually do any of those things, and he's just going crazy, but he didn't actually murder those people. And I remembered, because it's been a while since I saw it, and didn't remember the ending until I saw the lawyer. I was like, no, he did those things. And like, there was a little disagreement, but you know, there didn't come to blows because we disagreed on the point of the movie. But I said, I've always thought, and I always thought it was, he did all those things, he's just getting away with it because that's the point of the movie. The entire movie, he's doing things in public. He's dragging bodies that are leaving blood trails at his apartment, and no one notices. And people would say, well, that's a comment to it not being real and nobody noticing. And it's like, no. They've turned a blind eye because they know how powerful he is. He is the son of whoever owns this fucking company that makes money off the backs of other people's work and sits around talking about fucking cards all day. He is doing these things, but the company and the lawyers are protecting him and will always protect him. That's why his speech at the end where he says like, "Oh, this confession means nothing. I'm still gonna be hurting and still hurt, and I'm running out of time, and that bothers me because I want to talk about this movie more. But I honestly think if I tried to extend it, then I'm gonna end up losing the game and not talking about the movie enough. And I've already stopped talking about the movie to talk about how I want to talk about the movie more. I apologize." The point is, I thought this was the point of the movie, which is the rich will always find a way to not have to deal with their the consequences of their actions. And in this case, the guy was willing to accept the consequences of his actions. It felt cathartic to tell the truth. And then the powers that be looked at him and said, "We're never gonna hold you accountable because you're rich." That's what I took from it. American Psycho. What was it on? What was American Psycho on? What did we watch it on? It was on a streaming service, and I should have known that before starting this. Either way, go watch American Psycho. It's pretty rad. Later.